Okay, you guys, I got cut off, but here's part 2. I'm going to continue on chapter 15. I don't know. Something to keep us from telling what we know. Put us in the prison room, maybe. Lena ran a finger along the B carved in the desktop. It felt like a very long time since she'd last sat at the desk. We can't hide in here forever, she said. No, said Doon, just until it's time for the singing. Then when everyone is gathered in Harkin Square, we'll go and tell about the boats and the mayor. Won't we? I haven't really thought about it. I haven't had a chance to think this whole morning. But the guards are always there at the singing, standing next to the mayor, said Lena. They'll grab us as soon as we open our mouths. Doon's eyebrows came together in a dark line. You're right, so what will we do? It was like finding herself on a dead-end street, Lena thought. There was no way out. She stared blankly at the things that had once been her daily companions, the teacher's desk, the stacks of paper, the books of the City of Ember on its special shelf. The old words ran through her head. There's no place but Ember. Ember is the only light in the dark world. She knew now that wasn't true. There was someplace else, the place where the boats would take them. As soon as Doon had read her thoughts, he looked up. We could go. Go where? She said, though she knew right away what he meant. Wherever the river leads us, he said. He gestured to the pillowcase sack. I packed up my bag this morning. I'm all ready. I'm sure I have enough for you too. Lena felt her heart shrink a little. Go by ourselves, she said, without telling anyone? We will tell them. Doon was on his feet now. He went to the cabinet and got a sheet of paper. We'll write a note explaining everything. A note to someone we trust. Someone who will believe us. I'm wondering who that's going to be. Someone they trust and someone who will believe us. They have a few people. I'm thinking maybe Mrs. Murdo, Clary, Doon's father. Who are you thinking? But I can't just leave, said Lena. How could I leave Poppy and not even say goodbye to her? Not know where I'm going or if I'm coming back? How could you go without saying goodbye to your father? Because, said Doon, once they find the boats, the rest of Ember will follow us. It's not as if we're leaving them forever. He strode across the room and rummaged in Mrs. Thorne's desk. Who shall we write the message to? Lena wasn't sure about this idea, but she couldn't, at the moment, think of a better one. So she said, we could write it to Clary. She's seen the instructions. She'll believe what we say, and she lives close by, just up Torque Square. Okay, said Doon. He pulled a pencil from the desk drawer. Really, he said, this is a perfect idea. We can get away from the guards and leave our message behind us, and we can be the first ones to arrive in the new city. We should be the first, because we discovered the way. Well, that's true, Lena thought for a minute. How long do you think it will take before the rest of them find the boats and come? It's a lot of people to get organized. She numbered on her fingers the things that would have to happen. Clary will have to get the head of the pipeworks to go down with her and find the boats. Then she'll have to make the announcement to the city. Then everyone in Ember will have to pack up their things, troop down to the river, and get in those boats out of that big room and load themselves in. It could be a mess, Doon. Poppy will need me. She pictured frenzied crowds of people, and Poppy tiny and lost among them. Poppy is Mrs. Murdo, said Doon. She'll be fine. Really, Mrs. Murdo is very organized. It was true. The thought of taking Poppy with her on the river, which had darted into Lena's mind, darted out again. I'm only being selfish, she thought, to want to have her with me. It's too dangerous to take her. Mrs. Murdo will bring her in a day or two. This seemed like the most sensible plan, though it made her so sad that it cast a shadow over the thrill of going to the new city. What if something goes wrong, she said. Nothing will go wrong. It's a good plan, Lena. We'll be there ahead of everyone else. We can welcome them when they come. We can show them around. Doon was bursting with eagerness. His eyes shone, and he jiggled up and down. Well, all right, Lena said. Let's write our message then. Doon wrote for a long time. When he was finished, he showed what he had written to Lena. He explained how to find the rock with the E, how to go down to the boat room, and even how to use the candles. It's good, she said. Now we have to deliver it. She paused a moment to see if she had any courage inside her. She found that she did, along with sadness and fear and excitement. I'll deliver it, she said. I'm the messenger after all. I know back ways to go, where no one will see me. An idea struck her. Doon, maybe Clary will be home. Maybe she would keep us safe and tell us what we know, and help us tell what we know, and we won't have to leave right now. Doon quickly shook his head. I doubt it, he said. She's probably with her singing group getting ready. You'll just have to leave the note under the door. Lena could tell from his tone of voice that Doon didn't really want Clary to be home. She supposed he had his heart set on their going down the river by themselves. That's very Doon. Doon glanced up at the clock at the schoolroom wall. It's a little after 2, he said. The singing begins at 3. After that, everyone will be in Harkin Square and the streets will be empty. I think we can get to the pipework safely then. Why don't we leave a quarter after 3? You still have the key? Doon nodded. So after I leave the note to Clary, I'll come back here, said Lena. Yes, and then we'll wait until 3:15, and then we'll go. Lena got up from the cramped desk and went to the window. She moved the blind a little and peered out. There was no one in the street. The dusty schoolroom was quiet. She thought about Doone's father, who would be frantic when he saw his son's name on those posters, and then realized that Doone had disappeared. She thought about Mrs. Murdo, who might have already seen the posters, and who would be frightened if guards came looking for Lena, and terrified if Lena hadn't come home by nightfall. She tried not to think about Poppy at all. She couldn't bear it. "Give me the note," she said to Doone at last. She folded the piece of paper carefully and put it in the pocket of her pants. "Back soon," she said, and went out of the room and down the hall to the rear door of the school. Doone went to the window and to watch her go. He moved the blind aside just enough out to see out Pibb Street. There she was, running in that long-legged way with her hair flying. She started across Stonegrit Lane. Just before she reached the other side, Doone's breath stopped in his throat. 2 guards rounded the corner from Knack Street, directly ahead of her. One of them was the chief guard. He leapt forward and shouted so loudly Doone could hear him plainly through the glass. "That's her! Get her!" Lena reversed her direction in an instant. She raced back down Pibb Street, turned down School Street toward Bibolio Street, and vanished from Doone's sight. The guards ran after her, shouting. Doone watched, sick with horror. "She's much faster than they are," he told himself. "She'll lose them. She knows places to hide." He stood frozen next to the window, hardly breathing. "They won't catch her," he thought. "I'm sure they won't catch her." And then the chapter ends. Chapter 16 is called The Singing, so be thinking about what might happen in the singing. It was so great to read to you guys today, and it was so great to jump back into the city of Ember. Can't wait to hear about what happens next. Hope you're well.